It's Crackalack on their home girl. So the first thing that we want to try and correct in today's video is the single leg hip thrust that I've got you doing. We all good. The single leg hip thrust that I've got you doing. I'm quite concerned about you getting this back pinching in the lower part of your back. Now there's a couple of things that could be happening that could be making this happening. One of the things that I'm thinking is happening is that you're probably squeezing really tight towards your glutes there, but you've probably got a soft core, and if you've got a soft core, then although the glutes are pulling the hips underneath the spine, this part of the core is allowing the spine to still be able to relax, which will compress the muscles in the lower back. Whereas what we want to think that when we get to that lockout point is we want to think lockout point, but we also want to think about trying to close the distance between the hips and the ribs so that the abs do their job, the hips are locked out, and if the abs are crunching down and the glutes are locked out, then the spine will get kept in a really neutral position there. That could be one of the things that could fix this, so I'm going to try and hope to demonstrate it for you. So what I'd say is just don't get too close to the wall. Have a good little bit of distance between you and the wall so we can experiment with this. And if I suck my belly button into the back of my spine right now, I'm going to tuck my chin in, and I'm going to feel like my chin is going to follow my hips. So my chin is tucked in, I'm pressing through the wall, I'm following my hips all the way up, and now when I'm at this compressed lockout point, chin is tucked in, I can feel the hips right there, belly button sucked in, we're all straight. Whereas if I keep on pressing through my foot right now, but I now relax at the core and press up as much as I can do, I'm now starting to get an arching sensation underneath the lower back, and that's causing a bit of compression down there. So keep the chin tucked in, keep the core tight, and it might mean that the back is a little bit flatter, therefore lower to the floor, but you should still be able to still feel a really strong contraction in the glute. If we cannot keep the abdominals tight when we're in that top end position, then we might need to work on some of the lower core strength to be able to get that movement going a little bit smoother for you. But yeah, hopefully that helps to address that back compressing issue for you. The next thing I want to go on to is the Russian twist and the dumbbell row. You mentioned to me that with the Russian twist you were having some back discomfort in there. So what I'm going to say is that you might just want to limit the total rotational space that you get when you're doing the Russian twist. Although it is meant to be a core activating exercise, you might find that if you drift beyond the point of where your hips can turn naturally whilst keeping straight and they start turning right round, then it might be a little bit too much pressure for the spine. So when you're doing your Russian twists, think about keeping those hips square, and we are just rotating from the torso round, rotating from the torso round. Some people are going to be able to turn right round, get a good hand placement, turn up and right round and get a good hand placement. But you might find, especially if you're using like a little bit of weight, to just come right round until you're facing the wall in front, come right round until you're facing the next wall that way. And if we're just going this way, we're still going to be doing a really good job because we're just focusing on the rotational action of the muscles. The next thing that we're going to be getting on is the row. Although you've been doing a one-arm banded row, you have some dumbbells now that you're able to work with. So I just want to go through this technique with you. Now the dumbbell is primarily a back and a bicep focused exercise, but where we should be predominantly feeling the stress is in the lats there, right in the back. Now remember that the lat's job, if you can see here my lat is lengthened, the lat's job is to bring the elbow in close towards the spine. First thing we need to do is pull the shoulder back and down into place to lock it in, and then we drive that elbow right back, as if we're trying to pull it in towards the pockets. We don't try and drive it back and then lift it up towards the ceiling. We just try and drive it back until it comes towards what's going to feel like the pockets and slightly wrapping around the spine at the side. So what you're going to do is get hold of an object so that you can place your hand down towards something. You kind of want to do a bit of a deadlift setup just to get yourself set up for it. So you're going to push the hips out backwards there, let the shoulders drop over the front of the foot, put one hand on the side, and then from here what I'm going to do is I'm going to want to do this little tiny 1 centimeter side crunch, not a big turn, just a little tiny 1 centimeter side crunch where I'm going to try and get that shoulder close to that hip. So little tiny turn in, and then I'm going to think about driving that elbow back towards the pocket as much as I can do, squeezing it right in there. Let the shoulder just come straight down and squeeze the elbow in. Now if you look at that from the front, I really am trying to keep that elbow as close towards my body as I can do. I'm not letting it flare out towards the side there. I'm bringing it in as close as I can. So from the top, that's get in front of your chair, do a little bit of a deadlift setup to get up there. So we're going to Push the hips back, let the shoulders drop down below the shoulder. Hand goes on, little tiny 1 centimetre side crunch. Elbows driving up towards the pockets there until we feel a big squeeze in the back, letting the dumbbell come down from there. And there is your one arm dumbbell row. Mwah.